Good morning, CoinGeek London, and hello to everyone watching online. Hi. As you heard from Jimmy, I'm Paul Rajchgod. I work at the Air Group on the investment side, and I'm delighted to speak with you this morning about investing in the Bitcoin ecosystem. But I got to tell you, I was all set, I was comfortable, I was ready to go, and then I had a very bizarre dream last night, and now I'm all unsettled, and I can't shake it yet. But it's so bizarre, I figured I'll just share it with you and see what you think. I found myself suddenly on the Starship Enterprise, and Captain James T. Kirk was lecturing me about blockchain technology and how Bitcoin works. Exactly, right? So bizarre. And then the next thing I know, as often happens in dreams, we were now here. And he was presenting just before me, not as William Shatner, but Captain James T. Kirk. And his first slide, I kid you not, his first slide is, Bitcoin is BSV, the final frontier. And I thought, how the hell am I going to follow that? But I don't know. I'll do my best. So let's take a minute to talk about the Air Group of companies, which of course are led by Calvin Ayre, who you've already said hello to a number of times. I won't make you stand up again unless you want to stretch your legs. It's healthy. Calvin, as many of you know, has a passion for original Bitcoin, which we all know as BSV, for content and publishing, and for real estate and property. Now, across the Air Group of companies, we're very focused on realizing the original Satoshi vision of Bitcoin as the world's new money and global public blockchain for commerce. Our companies include CoinGeek Mining, which you probably know is one of the biggest miners in the world, Air Media and CoinGeek News, CoinGeek Conference, which are the fine folks that put on awesome events like this very one we're at right now, the Calvin Ayre Foundation, which does great work all around the world, and of course CoinGeek Ventures, where I hang my hat. We're thrilled to be active investors and supporters of these entrepreneurs that are building on the Bitcoin ecosystem. I'm sure many of you are familiar with most of these companies. And we're actually in the middle of closing some investments into new companies that will further broaden the array of industries you see presented here. Not just companies, but new industries building on Bitcoin. So let's take a minute to talk about institutional investment into the BSV ecosystem. In general, institutional investors have been on the sidelines waiting for a proven enterprise blockchain. I'm sure we all know this, proven being the key word. In general, they've avoided investing in hobby project blockchains that can't scale because the risks are too high. That's why they have not been investing there. Of course, there's been exceptions. I'm sure many of us have seen press releases of this or that project building on Ethereum or EOS or whatnot, but I'm talking about a deeper, broader institutional focus that we've all been waiting for. That has not been around in blockchain, and to me it's pretty clear why. It's already risky enough for institutional investors, for any investors, to back startups and in fact growth stage companies. So how can we expect them to flock to blockchain, so to speak, and invest in these companies that until recently have been choosing to build on these hobby project networks whose very existence is constantly called into question, that we know can't scale, and as Jimmy said before, we know they can't scale because they've told us. We already knew anyway, but all you have to do is listen to them present and talk in the public domain. And these guys come out and say, oh yeah, we knew it could never really scale anyway. Well, you can't expect billions of dollars to flock to this space when that kind of nonsense is going on. Meanwhile, the various enhancements that we're seeing only on BSV, which all point to massive scaling, have started to attract enterprises, first small and now big. And we know the investment is following. In addition, we've noted the growing interest from custodians and other institutional services providers such as Prime Trust, Kingdom Trust, and recently Curve. And this too points to a growing institutional interest in BSV. I wonder if that's... Okay, I want to make sure that I wasn't mic'd twice now. So to us, it's very clear. The word is out. Only BSV scales, and the money is coming. I want to talk for a minute about our overarching views, kind of our guiding principles at CoinGeek Ventures, to what we look for and why we're investing in this space. A lot of these are themes you've heard of before, a lot of you, but let's go through them. Number one, the protocol wars are over. P.S. We won. BSV, which is original Bitcoin, is the only blockchain truly being built for scale. Number three, We're already in the era of enterprise adoption, exploding utility, and the tokenization of everything. Number 4, BSV's earn and use economy means transactions, 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 and that's a hell of a lot of transactions. Number 5, sustaining miner profitability is critical, and it actually informs our decision-making at CoinGeek Ventures. And these all point to number 6, it's time for new ideas, and in fact, new business models, now possible only on Bitcoin. I've got a quote here from Calvin, not just because he's my boss, but it actually sums up things, I think, very nicely. Incredibly low cost and fixed fee transactions, and the ability to store massive data immutably on-chain, these things have not existed before and will allow creative entrepreneurs to build business models that have not existed before. So that's what we're doing on BSV, aren't we? We're building new businesses and, in fact, new business models that have never existed before, only possible on Bitcoin. Meanwhile, here's what our competition is doing. And by competition, I mean the other so-called blockchains. They're busy doing this or this, and we're busy doing this. And I think that's great. Let's keep doing that. Actually, I got to tell you, I got to go back to this for a second. Take a look at those two just yapping away. Can't you hear the FUD they're spreading? The fear, the uncertainty, the doubt, and the lies. Lies, lies, lies. I think it should be called fuddle, not FUD. I don't know why nobody came up with that before. I feel like fuddle is perfect for the HODL crowd, don't you think? So let's leave them with their heads buried deep, deep, deep in the sand, and let's keep building. So our investment themes at CoinGeek Ventures, we take a holistic view of the ecosystem, including miners, and we're looking for the fundamental infrastructure, the software and systems that Bitcoin actually runs on. We're looking for companies at the center of transactions, micropayments, tokenization, and smart contracts. We're looking to help modernize massive industries. We've already seen some of this coming to BSV. Gaming, supply chain, healthcare, advertising, and financial markets, to name a few. And we're looking for ventures whose business models support more and different types of transaction fees for BSV miners. So if you're considering starting a business in this space, ask yourself and ask other leaders in the community and other Bitcoin entrepreneurs, what's missing? What can I build? Digging a little deeper here, some other factors that are unique to BSV that we look for. We look for apps that can generate high volumes of micropayments and data transactions, creative ways to write and access data to and from the blockchain. We're looking to leverage the original capabilities of Bitcoin script and transaction capacities. We're looking for ventures that advance the metanet, B2B infrastructure for other BSV apps, technology that allows legacy businesses to easily integrate with BSV apps, and lastly, and very importantly, transaction fee models that can be flexible and creative as the new BSV fee ecosystem evolves. So that gives you a lot of color into what we're looking at from a Bitcoin point of view. But of course, it takes more than a great idea to build a successful business. So we've got to narrow down the field with the companies that we're seeing. And one of the ways we choose to do that is by looking at management teams and corporate strategies. And from that point of view, we look for what I call the complete package. We don't always get it, but these are the kind of things we're looking for. Business models that scale, but for us that means recurring revenue, high margins, low fixed costs. We're looking for businesses that ideally are already being built. They've already got their teams in place. They've got products that exist, at least in beta. Revenue would be great. And of course, we're looking for management teams that have been there and done that, ideally. But to be very clear, we're still very supportive and interested in earlier stage opportunities and new entrepreneurs. And we welcome you and we encourage you to not only get in contact with us, but to approach the Investor Day process, which we will see on this next slide, although I'm sure a lot of you know it. So, let's go and build the businesses that are bringing Bitcoin adoption to the world. Here's how you can get a hold of us, and thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Hannah Jackson for CoinGeek.com, and I'm here with Paul Rajchgod from CoinGeek Ventures. So first of all, tell me, what is CoinGeek Ventures?
Well, we're the venture arm of the Air Group of companies, of course, founded by Calvin Air. We invest in companies that are building on the BSV blockchain, which is original Bitcoin. That's all we invest in. We don't invest in any companies building on any other blockchain because, quite simply, as we already know, none of them scale, They've all been failures, and BSV is original Bitcoin.
Very exciting. It is a very exciting year in terms of BSV 2020. It's a big year. Genesis upgrade, that's already happened, and lots of bigger enterprises now are coming on board, and then the money follows it, obviously. So how can you elaborate when you look at that?
Right. Well, historically, institutional investors, broadly speaking, have been staying away from investing in blockchain, as we know the term, the overused term. And I think they've stayed away because the risks are too high. It's already risky to invest in startups and even growth stage companies. So you can't expect institutional investors, and by that I'm referring to VCs and other sophisticated investors, to flock to this space when, until recently, on BSV, most companies had been choosing to try to build on other blockchains that simply don't scale. And these blockchains, many of them, their very existence is constantly being called into question. But over on BSV, the various enhancements that we've seen, the latest being Genesis, and the limitless scalability, BSV, which is original Bitcoin, is the only place for enterprises to build and for the institutional money to follow.
Wow, okay, so looking into the future, obviously, from what you've seen here already and what you're hoping to see, how are you going to take that information and go forward with it?
Sure. Well, we've been thus far the biggest investor in companies in this space. We've invested, well, I won't give the figure, but countless millions of dollars into about 15 to 20 companies, and we're about to close on several more that are pretty exciting because they're going to add to the diversity in terms of the industry's point of view. So in addition to having all these companies that are building on BSV, it's interesting to look at what industries they're serving. Some are financial services, some like Unisat are supply chain, some are in gaming like Chronoverse and others. And we've got a few more that are coming that I think will tick boxes in other industries that will continue to make institutional investors think, geez, I haven't seen this on any other blockchain.
Wow, very exciting. Okay, well, thank you so much.